Michael joins us now live from NBC's bureau in Kandahar. Hello, Michael. Since you've been there, you've caught up with a lot of local troops.
Yeah, it's been really amazing, Tina. We knew that there were a few hundred military engineers here in Kandahar, but we did not know about many other units. We showed up here, and within just a few hours of landing on the ground, we started to meet more and more people from Savannah. And we're going to introduce you to those soldiers and tell you their stories throughout the week. But let's begin with the unit that is the backbone of our effort here in Kandahar, the 92nd Engineers from Fort Stewart. The workday begins early for the soldiers of the 92nd. The combat-heavy engineers crank their bulldozers up at the crack of dawn.
Right now the bulldozer is building a security position. It's pushing up a berm so that they can put one of our Humvees in there.
The Fort Stewart troops also make sure a lifeline to the outside stays open. This is the biggest coalition base in southern Afghanistan, and Air Force cargo planes need to use the old 1950s airport to bring in vital weapons and supplies. But the runway is falling apart.
Now, when the asphalt surface breaks up, you can see that these large chunks really pose a serious damage to aircraft as they roll across the airfield.
One of the real challenges of repairing the runway is that it's constantly getting torn up again, and all the patches that the engineers try to make wind up breaking up into rocks that can get sucked into jet engines.
And what you see out here is where we're going to start our perimeter.
When they're not behind the controls of heavy equipment, the engineers sometimes have to man the foxholes on the outer edge of the base, just a few hundred yards from former Taliban territory. As he keeps a watchful eye on the horizon, Sergeant Lamar Henderson of Ridgeland, South Carolina, says his heart is back at home with his fiancée, Janelle McKenzie.
Got to keep her close to me. She's with me all the time. She's been there for me. She's been always supportive. And she's my best friend. Baby, I love you, I miss you, and hey, I'll be home soon, hopefully.
Now, Sergeant Henderson and his fiancée Janelle are just one example of so many families throughout the coastal empire who will be seeing these stories, and that's why we're so excited to have the chance to visit with the troops here in Kandahar and bring you the pictures and the stories of what they're doing here, Tina. Our journey first took us to Camp Doha, Kuwait. It's a dusty desert outpost just miles from the Iraqi border. Next, an Air Force C-130 transport plane carried us from the Middle East all the way to Kandahar, Afghanistan. Here, American troops have carved out a foothold for freedom right in the heart of former Taliban territory. The pilots landed our plane in total darkness, using their night vision goggles to touch down safely. Then the crew quickly unloaded the cargo and took off again before any renegade al-Qaeda fighters could get off a shot. At the base, more than 150 members of Fort Stewart's 92nd Engineers work constantly to keep the broken-down 1950s runway in working order. It's a lifeline for other local soldiers and for thousands of coalition troops fighting the war on terror.
And what you see out here is where we're going to start our perimeter. We've got the section of the perimeter called Section White.
It's a hot, sunny morning in Kandahar, and the troops of the 92nd Engineering Battalion have new orders: take up defensive positions in the foxholes around the perimeter of the base.
Gentlemen, how y'all doing?
We're making sure the Taliban don't come in. Observe the perimeter, make sure there's nothing crazy going on out there.
An engineer's second mission is always to fight as infantry. So I guess today we get to find out that that really is true.
These coils of barbed wire represent the boundary between the American air base in Kandahar and no man's land. Every morning, Fort Stewart soldiers guarding the perimeter have to walk along and make sure nobody's tried to cross this line. It's lonely, dangerous work, and the hours of silence can be creepy. But the 92nd's commander has confidence in his troops.
Our folks know their jobs very well, and I'm very comfortable that everyone here is going to be just fine, and that if they're required to do anything, our guys are ready to do it, and they'll come out of everything in one piece.
Before long, the minutes stretch into hours and night falls on the base. Colonel Talkin goes back out onto the line to check on his troops in the foxholes.
CO and First Sergeant, they out walking about too.
Okay. Who's next door?
The medic is next door.
Nighttime is dangerous out here on the perimeter. Veteran soldiers say there probably are Taliban sympathizers out there watching.
He walked the wire and found out the problems and fixed it.
But the 92nd Engineers are watching too, and they'll make sure the Taliban stay on the other side of the fence. Whether you're a Fort Stewart engineer or a Hunter Army Airfield aviator, your daily life has one thing in common with everybody else's here at Kandahar: the dust. It's everywhere, in the air, on your hands, and on your nerves.
It just gets in your eyes. It's hard to breathe, hard to see.
Another constant in Kandahar: waiting. Soldiers spend more than an hour in line waiting for their turn to shop at the base's PX or store.
About an hour and a half is the normal time to get into the store. And it's usually it's the checking out's the long part. Yeah. Everybody's paying by credit cards, and so only one cashier to take care of everybody.
There are also long lines at chow. That's the Army word for a hot meal. The reward at the end of the line?
Looks like some sort of goulash. We got some vegetables, a little bit of a pound cake or something there. Yeah. Lemonade and soda.
For these 92nd engineers, the tent is a combination bedroom, TV lounge, dining room, even a barber shop.
Cut. Yeah? Expedient as possible.
They only offer one type of haircut: short and clean. The soldiers of Hunter Army Airfield's 159th Aviation Battalion have created their own place to eat and hang out. It's a party patio, made from materials they scrounged from around the old airport. But it takes a lot more than a cool patio to make up for missing the comforts of home. I shot this video of Kandahar early in the morning from the roof of the NBC compound. The sights, sounds, and smells that we experienced on the dusty road between the base city that gave birth to the Taliban when your freedom fighters continues. Welcome back to Your Freedom Fighters. For the most part, Coastal Empire soldiers serving in Afghanistan never get to leave the base or even get a glimpse of what's beyond the barbed wire and the foxholes. But Newsweek chief videographer Mehmet Caglayan and I did leave the base once to send our stories home to Savannah via satellite. I shot this video of Kandahar early in the morning from the roof of the NBC compound. The sights, sounds, and smells that we experienced on the dusty road between the base and the city were magical and heartbreaking at the same time, and unlike anything either of us had ever seen. The streets of Kandahar are even dustier than the nearby airbase where American soldiers live and work. Newsweek chief photographer Mehmet Caglayan trained the lens of his small, unobtrusive camcorder out the window of our moving vehicle for a candid look at life and land that has survived 2 decades of destruction and war. Brightly colored taxis and big trucks jostled for position with lean, dirty pedestrians. Horns and shouts blending into a mad symphony of sound. Children were old beyond their years. Most were clothed in colorful robes, but shoes are a status symbol and prized possession here. The few women we saw were covered head to toe in black or blue burqas. Traditions are still honored in this ancient city, the birthplace of the Taliban. As our bouncing SUV squeezed between passing cars and trucks on the unlined main streets, we asked the driver and our interpreter, Masoom, to stop so we could buy things at a roadside shop.
Yeah?
Yeah, we'll get a bunch of stuff. There were stacks of shoes, colorful embroidered hats for men, scarves for women requested by a Savannah soldier back at the base, and Pakistani candy with a big picture of Osama bin Laden, a humorous holdover from the Taliban days which American visitors often bring home for their friends.
I'll take 15.
Trying to get some Afghan money. I asked for change in Afghanis, the local currency. The colorful bills are hardly worth the paper they're printed on now. At the time, the exchange rate was about 60,000 Afghanis to $1 US. Our armed bodyguards, local Northern Alliance soldiers turned police officers, stood watch every time we got out of the car. The road out of town was lined with vegetable carts and shops with raw meat hanging out in the open, right beside open sewage ditches. Soon, the filthy, colorful city gave way to brown, dusty desert as we made our way back to Kandahar Airport and the safety of the coalition base.